Welcome to this operations management tutorial video on project crashing. Today we're going to walk you through the steps of shortening the duration of a project, that is crashing, as outlined in the textbook. And as we do so, keep in mind that we are trying to find the very best way to shorten the duration of a project. In other words, the most effective way, making the best use of those resources, the money that would be required in order to achieve the desired shortening of the project. Again, we're taking this example from the textbook where the duration of the project is 30 weeks and we want to reduce the duration down to 25 weeks. The first step we need to do is identify the critical path. And so if we look at all of the available paths through the project, we will notice that path ADG is the critical path, 30 weeks. Any delay to that path will increase the duration of the project. Any shortening of it will shorten the duration of the overall project. Now that we've done that, we must identify the lowest cost activity on the critical path. And to do that, we're going to jump over into Excel and I'll show you how to do those calculations. So we have that same tabular data here. We want to get the lowest crash cost per week for the activities on the critical path, which are identified here, ADG. We start by getting the difference between the normal duration and the crashed duration. So if activity A normally takes 20 weeks and we can shorten it down to 15 weeks, that means we can shorten it by 5 weeks. And so these are, again, the possible number of weeks we can shorten each one of these activities. Then we take the difference between the crashed cost, the cost of the activity if we were to crash it, minus the normal cost. And so this tells us that it would cost us an additional $1,000 for activity A if we wanted to shorten it by 5 weeks. Now we may not need to shorten this activity by 5 weeks, but maybe only 1 or 2 weeks. And so we need to determine what the crash cost per week is, where we then take the total crash cost, or the cost of crashing it by that week, and divide it by the number of weeks possible by which we can crash it. And that gives us $200 a week. So if we only need to shorten activity A by a week, then that would only cost $200, not $1,000. Okay, so there we have it. Activity A costs $200 per week, D $150 per week to crash it, and G is $75 per week. So G is the lowest cost option. So let's jump back into our presentation here, and there we have it. G is the lowest cost. So we would begin by crashing activity G if we wanted to shorten the overall duration of the project. And we can shorten G by 2 weeks, so we would take it from 4 weeks down to 2 weeks. And as a result, our longest paths now would be ADH, 28 weeks, and ADG, which was the critical path at 30 weeks, but since we took 2 weeks out of that path, it's now at 28 weeks. So the cost of crashing the project by 2 weeks is $150, but we still have further to go. We need to get down from 28 weeks now down to 25 weeks. What's next? We can't continue crashing G because it's all the way crashed, and we need to look at other options on the critical path. D is the next one with the lowest cost, and we take 2 weeks out of D, and now we have ADH at 26 weeks, ADG at 26 weeks as well. And we have 2 critical paths now, just as after our last step. So then we need to look at other ways to shorten the duration of the project, and we move to activity A, which is also on the critical path. We need to take 1 week out of it, and that would be 25 weeks after crashing it by 1 week. Now if we look at all the different paths in the project, we will notice that they're all less than or equal to 25 weeks. And so after crashing activity A by 1 week, we have met the objective of getting down to 25 weeks for the overall duration of the project. All right, well, let's take a look at how much it would cost us to crash the project down to 25 weeks. We crashed activity A by 1 week. We crashed activity D by 2 weeks, and we crashed activity G by 2 weeks. And so to get the total cost, we simply take the weeks crashed and multiply that by the crash cost per week, And we can copy that formula. We can drag that down through all the weeks. And now we can sum this right here to get the sum of all the costs of crashing the various activities. So there we have it. To crash this project from 30 weeks down to 25 weeks cost an additional $650. It was the most cost-effective way to reduce the duration of this project. Well, I hope this video has been helpful to you and will be helpful to you as you tackle the crashing problems in the project management homework assignment.